We're back now with more of our panel. Susan Page is with USA Today. Michael Gerson is a columnist for The Washington Post. Jonathan Martin covers politics for The New York Times. And Ed O'Keefe is with The Washington Post. Jonathan, I want to pick up something you said when we were talking earlier. You talked about maybe keeping Donald Trump out of the future debates. I want to read you something that Lindsey Graham said in response to Trump's fight with Megyn Kelly. He said, "I think we've crossed that Rubicon, where his behavior becomes about us, not just him. I hope the party leadership will push hard. We've crossed a line here that can't be ignored. There's no more tiptoeing around this." Who is the party leadership who's going to do this?
Well, that's the problem, is that the RNC could put out a statement, but they can't control what these networks do in terms of who is or is not invited. And if you think that the networks, after the amount of viewers who watch that debate on Thursday night, are going to keep Trump out, then you don't understand how TV works. And the fact is, he is going to keep showing up at these things as long as he wants to do so. And so the party is handcuffed to him. And the long-term difficulty is that at some point, you can see a scenario where he says, "I said if you guys didn't treat me with respect, I was going to go to third party, and you haven't. And I'm now running third party." And therein lies the challenge. And then he does that for a few more months. So it's a long-term challenge for the GOP.
Let's assess the other candidates at the moment. Michael, you said, the 24 million got to see some other people on stage. Right. Who else looked good to you on that stage?
Rubio and Christie are low in the polls, but they've got first-tier skills, you could tell. And candidate quality matters over time. I think you have to give Christie some props for seriousness in the debate. He raised entitlement reform. He's actually put out policies on this. That could swamp everything people want to do in the future. So I think he had serious intervention there. And Bush had a B or B plus night maybe. He answered all the right answers on the tough questions that related to him. He had a good answer on immigration, but he really only showed a flare of passion on school choice and was flat in some of the other parts of the evening.
I would count Bush as the big loser of the night, actually, not because he made a mistake, because as you say, he didn't make a mistake. But Peggy Noonan, who's often a friend of Face the Nation, described him as looking like a bespectacled man thinking about dinner. And that seemed to me pretty apt. If you want to be president, you need to look like you want to be president. You need to have some energy. You need to have some passion, particularly if you're trying to prevail in a summer of Trump. And I thought that he failed to do that. And I think you're going to see some of these other candidates who did show a little energy doing better in the next couple of weeks.
And the Bush camp certainly concedes that. The guys like Rubio, Kasich, Walker might see a little bit of an increase, but they're still pretty comfortable with where they are. They would say, look, this was the floor, that there are going to be several more of these debates to come. The mere fact that they were the sort of sober, mature guy standing next to Donald Trump as 24 million people watched is enough to remind these Republicans, well, gosh, if I don't like that cantankerous guy, at least we have someone like him in the race. He certainly is not a flashy guy. Pizzazz is not his thing. But their goal was, don't make any mistakes. Do this for the first time in 13 years, because he hasn't been on a debate stage since 2002, and over again remind people of the record.
Not good enough, I don't think, in a field like this. And the original front runner, you looked at Kasich. Kasich looked like Bush with some oomph. Yep. Another two-term governor from a key state, same age, right. Lots of credentials. Now, Kasich's got his own problems, credential flaws as a candidate. But if you were looking for an adult in the room, there was another adult in the room that was showing a little more passion.
But if you're a Republican, though, this is a sort of good night and a bad night. It's a good night because, my goodness, we got some presidents on that stage. Yep. This is not the 2012 campaign all over again. The more sort of nerve-wracking side is, number one, what do we do about Trump? Oh my gosh, this thing is really sort of live wire, live ammo over here. But the other issue is this race is really uncertain, and that can be kind of exciting and it can be energizing, but at the same time, it can also be a little bit nerve-wracking because you just don't know what's going to happen. To Susan's point, Jeb Bush didn't look like a front runner up there. That debate night proved just how uncertain this race is. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Even putting Trump aside, it's the most fluid campaign on the Republican side I can recall in decades.